Good morning, students. Let us continue with the reproduction part. It's the last part in the reproduction. Actually, in your NCERT syllabus, it is the first unit, that is reproduction in organisms. And now I asked you yesterday in the last class that are you going through every details of what I am doing? Are you drawing the diagrams? So I hope you are all doing it, and only if you do that you will be happy, you know that. Like most of the time, if at all you leave that and you just keep enjoying, then you feel always that okay, this I have not done, I have not done. Why? You have to avoid that, right? Sit and do it off, right? So this is like everyday exercise for you. Otherwise, sitting at home, how long will take rest, right? So keep doing this, it will really help you. Okay. So now let us continue with the reproduction in organisms, which actually is started with, we had started in the first class, that is the previous class, that how exactly reproducing structures are there and how they undergo reproduction and all. Now I will give you the phases of reproduction. So this is important thing, when exactly the organisms reproduce. So now coming to this, normally I told you that there is a reproductive phase, there only, then only they will reproduce. In that again there are different type of organisms. Those reproduce according to the favorable season. If the season is favorable to their growth or the reproduction, they reproduce. Otherwise no. Like imagine there is rain, small amount of water is stored, then frogs start reproducing there, right? If there is no rain, it's a drought, then frogs will not reproduce. So this is called as the seasonal breeders. Means not only rainy season they start reproducing. So the first type of breeding time is for the seasonal breeders. Means these breed according to the favorable season, right? Like I told you, frogs. Frogs reproduce according to the favorable season. They will not reproduce throughout the year. Only when there is a certain season they start reproducing. Second type is continuous breeders. Continuous breeders refer to those organisms that reproduce continuously. They will not stop all the time, they will be reproducing in their reproductive phases. Means not at the birth time only, then after their juvenile period, when they enter the reproductive phase, they keep on reproducing, right? Under these continuous breeders, we have different types of organisms, that is those which will have single estrus cycle, they are called monoestrus cycle, means they reproduce once only. But polyesters, they will undergo many times reproduction. In continuous breeders, you can write under this all the humans and others, right? Humans and rats and mainly rats and humans, they are all continuously reproducing. They are called the continuous breeding organisms. Okay, these are the types or time when they are breeding, right? Only one certain time only they will be breeding. But we will now talk about the reproductive phases. Reproductive cycles are used, not phases, reproductive cycles. So you all know that in humans there is a reproductive cycle, we call it the menstrual cycle. So what is the reproductive cycle? There are a lot of changes brought in the female reproductive system during the time of the maturity of the egg. The change may be physical, it may be physiological and chemical also. Those are the reproductive cycles. So it is a female, it concerns the females, right? The various changes brought into the female reproductive system during a cyclic reproduction or cyclic changes happening during the ovulation or egg formation, we call it as the reproductive cycles. So here we have two types of reproductive cycles. One of them is Estrus cycle. Second one is called as the menstrual cycle. Right? So Estrus cycle and menstrual cycle, these are happening in mammals only. Both the cycles are happening in mammals. But Estrus cycle happens in non-primate organisms. So this is common in non-primates. But the menstrual cycle happens in primates. So what are the differences between these two? Right? Estrus cycle is actually observed in some of the means monkey and other things belong to primates. Other than that, we get all non-estrous, there is an estrus cycle happening. What happens in all of them? There is no bleeding apparently, like how I told you in females of the all primates during menstrual cycle. First few days there will be bleeding. Why it bleeds? Because the egg formation and attachment of the egg to the endometrial wall will be actually assisted by production of a lot of blood vessels and some tissues in that area. Epithelial tissues get deposited. If the fertilization fails, whatever newly formed tissue is slaughtered off along with the dead egg and the blood. Everything will be moving out through the vagina. We call it as menstrual bleeding, or we call it menstruation, which is common in menstrual cycle. First few days of the cycle will be having menstrual bleeding. That will not happen in the estrus cycle, right? Like cow and others, there is no any apparent bleeding happening. There is no bleeding happening. Then how it will manage? First thing is, in them also, if at all the endometrium becomes thickened or it becomes thick wall with the blood vessels, if the fertilization fails, it will be absorbed by the internal body. The endometrial wall will be absorbed and will be degenerated, which is not true with the primates. They will bleed, right? Second thing is, in estrus cycle, right, including your dogs and cats and all, there will be extreme urge for the female to have sex. Sexual urge is seen in the female organisms. Means when they get into the breeding cycle, their reproductive cycle, they are ovulating, they will get the sexual urge, which is not true with the menstrual cycle. When they are ovulating, there is no sexual urge happening in females. That's the second difference. Okay. Then the first estrus cycle, they are the organisms normally they undergo seasonal breeding. Seasonal means particular season only they will have that breeding period, right? Normally these menstrual cycle, those who are undergoing primates and all, they are continuous breeders, right? Then there will be a heat period. Estrus refers to heat period in those organisms that are non-primates. Non-primates will have a kind of heat period. Females will have, the body will get heated up, the body temperature will rise. It is called a heat period observed in mostly the animals who are non-primates that undergo estrus cycle. Such changes in the body temperature or heat period is not observed in the primates or those who are undergoing menstrual cycle. So let me give you the two columns and explain the differences between estrus cycle and menstrual cycle, which is asked for 4 marks or 5 mark question. Okay, so let me give you the differences. So you can only analyze and write them. Whenever I say you have to write, before I write, you can now start writing because already I have explained you about this. Okay, first one is the estrus cycle. Second one is the menstrual cycle. So what I told you, this occurs in non-primates. First is non-primates, like dogs and cats and cow, all those. But what about the menstrual cycle? It happens in the primates, monkeys, gorillas, all of them, right? Second, what's the second thing? In estrus cycle, there is no menstrual bleeding. So, what you write? Absence of menstrual bleeding. Remember this is absent. So only those are very important for examination. I am writing like this, right? So here there is a continuous during menstrual cycle. Initially there will be menstrual bleeding. There is menstrual bleeding at the initial stage, where the egg, which is unfertilized, along with the epithelial tissues are slaughtered out or slaughtered off. Now, third one, there is a very much huge sexual urge in females. Females show sexual urge in females, right? Such sexual urge is not observed in menstrual cycle. no sexual urge in females. Okay. Then fourth one, normally they will undergo during the ovulation period or the time of breeding season, there will be heating of the body is seen, or body heat is increased. So because the heating period, they will undergo a heating period which is not there, no heating period in the menstrual cycle, right? Then one more thing here, the Estrus cycle, normally these undergo seasonal breeding. Normally they undergo seasonal breeding, and these are normally continuous breeders. Okay, so that's about the difference between Estrus cycle and menstrual cycle. You can add this, you can leave it also, is okay, but mainly these are the differences, right? So just make a note of this and you will get such question as a 5-mark question or 2-mark question. Distinguish between Estrus cycle and menstrual cycle. Okay? Fine. Just take it. Means write 1, 2, 3, make columns and then write. Okay, now students, let's continue the sexual reproduction. I already told you about the Estrus cycle and the menstrual cycle. Now what is the next part is, how many types of Estrus cycle having animals are there, right? There are some animals which undergo one Estrus cycle in the whole of life or whole of 1 year. In 1 year, one Estrus cycle. They are called as monoestrus animals. Monoestrus animals. These undergo single estrus cycle, one estrus cycle in a year, per year. Okay, that's the first one. Second one, it is about this is the example, monoestrus cycle. The example for this is deer. Deer undergo one estrus cycle in a year. Second comes diestrus cycle. Diestrus cycle. These undergo two estrus cycles. Two estrus cycles per year. Right? Example is dog. Dogs will have 2 seasons in a year where they breed. They have, means estrus cycle, whenever they get it, they will breed. They can reproduce 2 times in a year. They can produce children 2 times in a year. That's the meaning. Because estrus cycle is not different from getting this. So if they become pregnant, they reproduce. Okay. Then third one is polyester cycle. Polyester cycle refers to many estrus cycles happening in a year. Many estrus cycles, as it is seen in the example of rats or mouse. They undergo many estrus cycles in a year. So this can be asked in the 1 mark question. What are monoestrus cycles? What are diestrus cycles? What are polyesters? Mono refers to single one, as it is given in the name itself. Mono is 1, right? Those organisms undergo 1 estrus cycle in a year are called monoestrus cycles. Example, those monoestrus cycle animals or monoestrus animals. The example is deer, right? You know what is deer. Second one is diestrus cycle. Those animals that undergo 2 times the estrus cycle in 1 year. They are called diestrus animals. Example is all the dogs you are seen in the street dogs. Don't think about those animals which are there at home, right? Whenever you get those animals at home, although they get the estrus cycle and all, they may not breed because mostly they have been brought after hybridization. So their cycle may change or they may not breed at all, right? Then third one is polyester cycle, or those organisms that undergo many estrus cycles in 1 year, like as in the mouse or the rat, right? They will be continuously, therefore one rat is there, within no time it can produce lot of offsprings because it will be continuously undergoing estrus cycle, continuously producing children, right? So this is about the estrus cycle. So apart from that, one more extra thing I would like to give you, that is about the egg formation. Those which produce eggs, this also is seasonal, right? Normally the naturally left birds, right? Any other birds, like you think of peacocks and all, they have breeding season. Even the hen which is left out is also seasonal. But some of the times these which are in the poultry form, the birds are there now, they will undergo production of eggs continuously, right? But remember one thing, they are not undergoing any type of sexual reproduction. They are injected with certain hormones to produce eggs continuously. It is almost like a parthenocarpet. They don't undergo fertilization, but it is anyway injecting hormones. It's like, because we require the eggs continuously, they allow the farm birds to produce eggs continuously, but it is very unnatural, right? Remember that as an additional point. Okay, so that's about the Estrus cycle, right? Always whenever I say this is Estrus cycle, just take it out, some points in it. Next we'll move on to the events happening in the sexual reproduction. So let us learn about what happens. Already you have learned it, but still, as it is the introductory chapter, I am giving everything again and again in detail. Because once you have learnt about the human beings and about the plants, then you will be doing a lot of ideas. So with that background only you can write all these examples, all these parts, right? But still, let me give you, because separately if they ask about some animals, lower organisms like algae and bryophytes and all, you need to know this, right? So what are the various events happening in the sexual reproduction? We already know that sexual reproduction happens in 3 phases: pre-fertilization events, fertilization, post-fertilization events. Pre-fertilization means the type of activities happening before fertilization. What are we happening before fertilization? First thing is formation of gametes, right? Both male and females in their gonads produce their gametes if there is sexual dimorphism, right? So therefore, after this I give you sexuality in organisms. So what I said, gametogenesis will happen as a pre-fertilization event first, right? Then comes the fertilization. So under pre-fertilization events, that is gametogenesis first thing. Second is gamete transfer is the second event. Means how it is transferred from the male to the female, right? Second is fertilization. These are pre-fertilization events. This is a fertilization where the union of male and female gametes take place, forming the zygote. Both haploid gametes, sperm and egg, fertilized to form a zygote, which is diploid in nature. That's a fertilization. Then comes post-fertilization event. That is, after fertilization, the fertilized zygote, how it will develop as embryo. Then how it will fix into the female endometrium. All that, we call it as the cleavage, embryogenesis, everything happens in the post-fertilization events. Okay. Now we will study the first one, that is about the pre-fertilization events. What happens at the beginning of the fertilization? So before fertilization, these 3 events I am writing. Now let us move on to the first one, pre-fertilization events, where we talk about the gamete formation or gametogenesis. Okay. Now the first under the pre-fertilization event is first one, gametogenesis. So what is this? It is the production of formation of haploid gametes from the diploid meiocytes. The word you remember again and again, I am using this. The sperm mother cell or the oogonial mother cell, we call them as meiocytes because they are undergoing meiosis in future. So gametogenesis is the process of formation of haploid male and female gametes from the diploid sperm or the ovum mother cells or ovonial mother cells in their gonads. Okay. Now under this you have already learned the first event is spermatogenesis, which is happening in men or in the male organisms. Then it is oogenesis, that is happening in the female. It is a formation of egg, it is a formation of sperm. Okay. That's about the gametogenesis. Now we will study So what happens is these sperms are formed from the spermatogonial mother cells, these eggs are formed from the oogonial mother cells. Okay. Now we'll study what is the type of sexuality observed in different organisms. So what is about the sexuality in organisms? Okay. So let me first restrict myself for the plants, then we go to the animals. Okay. So this you understood then. Let's now move on to the sexuality in organisms. So you know that the plants, if you observe, like hibiscus, see, whenever I say, you imagine one plant. If I say one plant you imagine a hibiscus plant, right? How is hibiscus plant? Or you imagine brassica plant. So brassica plant, when you observe, you get a gynoecium like this, okay? Then you have the stamens here, right? Then here is the calyx and here is the corolla. Okay? This is the, imagine it's a brassica flower. Example, anything you can give. Hibiscus also I can give. So what are we are finding here? Mainly sex, about the sex organs I am concentrating. This is a male sex organ, that is anther, which is producing, this is a male sex organ. This is the gynoecium, which is the female reproducing structure. Gynoecium, it is a female structure. You can see here in one plant, one flower, both the sex organs are there. The male and female are together. We call such condition as bisexuality. So with the example you learn, it becomes easy. So first thing I am talking in plants is bisexuality. Sexuality in plants, most of the flowering plants are bisexual plants. Bisexually flowering plant. They have both male and female sex organs together, right? But in some, it is not so. That is, they show the male and female separately. That is what we call it as uni-sexuality. What is uni-sexuality? The male and female sex organs are present on different flowers. Here they are found together. Normally we represent it like this. This is a female part, this is a male part. This is a bisexual character. Here they are different, right? Male flowers are different, female flowers are growing on a different, or female flowers are different. In male flowers you get only stamens. They are called staminate flowers. If the male flowers are there, they are called the staminate flowers. They are only male flowers. Whereas the females contain, the female flowers are only pistil. This is called as the pistillate flower. This is one more question many a time they have asked. What is a pistillate flower? That has only female. This is a female flower having only female sex organ. So where do you find them? Right? You can have in this unisexuality in plants. So all these things I am explaining to you first in plant. Then we will go to the animals. Right? Staminate flowers and the pistillate flowers may be present on the same plant. We call in this also again two types. Unisexuality, where male and female flowers are growing on different flowers, but they are found in the same plant. We call it as a monoecious character. Monoecious refers to male and female flowers, and female flowers grow at different positions in the same plant. For example, I will give you coconut. Coconut, the first monoecious I am giving you example. In coconut you would have seen inflorescence, right? So inflorescence will be like this. Okay, you have observed, I think this is the inflorescence. Here is the female flower. One or two female flowers you get. Okay, this is the female flower. And male flowers are growing at the other part. This is one male flower having all the stamen. This is the staminate flower. These are the staminate flowers. Right? You have seen, I think. This is very easily observable thing. Right? These produce pollen grains. So here is the female flower. These are the male flowers. We call these male flowers as staminate flowers and the female flowers as the pistillate flowers. So always understand the diagram, very important. That's the reason I will be drawing the diagrams. You would have observed in the class And anytime I just explain you without drawing, most of you will have to imagine these things. That's why I am giving you this. If you get time, if you have a coconut tree in front of your house or somewhere, just observe its inflorescence. Not only in coconut plant, even you get it in the betel nut plant. The betel nut, that is the whatever you find, you eat it along with palm. That is betel nut plant. That also we have inflorescence like this. All the inflorescence will be falling like this. See spadix inflorescence you get it. Right? Now, this is the monoecious character in coconut plant. But second type under this, what is that? Under uni-sexuality only, second type I am giving you is dioecious. Or dioecious also we can call it dioecious. Right? What happens is, here male plant is different, having only the staminate flowers. So only male plant is different. Okay. Then along with that it has another female plant growing separately. Female plant is growing separately with the only pistillate flowers. These are called the dioecious character. Under unisexuality you have monoecious and dioecious. Right? In dioecious, for an example I can give you is papaya plant. In papaya, I already once I explained you, still I again want to explain you here. In papaya there will be a different male plant, there will be another female plant. And actually most of us, we have observed the papaya plant producing the fruit. Those are all female plants. Those who produce papaya fruit, they are all the female plants. Then search where is the male plant who is providing the pollen grains. In a whole acre of plant, if there is one male plant is there, that is enough to pollinate almost hundreds of female flowers in a given area of 1 acre land. So imagine, this is so beautifully working on its own, right? That is, the male flower growing plant is a male plant which is there in 1 acre of land. Maybe one plant is there. Remaining all hundreds of plants are only female. So what is a real confirmation test is, you are getting so much of papaya fruit all the time in a year, right? So they will be continuously pollinating, fertilizing, and you will be getting fruit. That is a confirmation test in life science. The tests are very easy. Practically you can see them. Okay, this I am explaining. You are getting it. You get the female. If at all you have a papaya plant nearby, observe. Most of them are producing fruits. And if you want to check really, that time you will have to go in search of a male plant also. You want a whole of area, there may be one male plant present which will be providing pollen grains to all of them. So therefore male and females are separate. There is sexual dimorphism in some plants also. Even like cycas plant, there will be male cone possessing one male plant is there, one female cone, actually cone is not there. Megasporophylls are aggregated to form a female plant. Cycas is also a dioecious plant, but it is not an angiosperm, it is a gymnosperm. Therefore, in the angiosperms, in papaya, you can get the clear-cut differentiation of male plant and female plant. That is called the dioecious character. Did you get this? This is about the bisexuality and unisexuality. There should not be any confusion. Most of the time, you will be asking what is unisexuality. In unisexuality, you think the male and female are different. What is the difference? If they are, if they are found in the same plant, male flowers are different position, female flowers are different position, it is a monoecious character. If the staminate flowers and pistillate flowers or male and female flowers are growing on different plants, it is a dioecious character. Example is papaya. Okay, so note this down, this is very important thing, because I am giving you drawings also, then you can understand easily. This coconut also inflorescence has been one single inflorescence. Actually, it shows the compound inflorescence is called the compound inflorescence, in which you get many spadix inflorescence. We call it as the compound spadix inflorescence. You will not get one like this, hundreds will be there, right? That is why we call the compound spadix inflorescence. It is one I had the single spadix inflorescence, where thick inflorescence axis is there with female and male flowers growing separately in a different position. Right? Again it go back to the first PUC part where you will be learning about the types of inflorescence. Anyway, I given the diagram, keep this diagram with you. Diagram may not be asked, but Diagrams are the only ways to understand the subject thoroughly in biology. So this whole thing you make it as a tick in your brain, right? Then anytime the question is asked, you can write around say what is sexuality in plants. Okay? Okay, write it down. So once I explained you sexuality of plants, in plants, namely I talked about the angiosperms, like I told you brassica or even hibiscus, that's an angiosperm, it's a higher plant. Even in uni-sexuality I explained you the higher forms only. But there are some lower forms, lower plants like algae, bryophytes and all, they show a different type of kind of the sex organs or uni-sexuality or bi-sexuality. Let me give you now how exactly it is found, and one of the example one, that is the Cara, the type of algae. Okay, what is this? First you should know, because sometimes they are given book Cara, then you think that a big tree it is. It's a Cara is a hydrophytic plant, it is an algae. So how is the plant? The plant is in water, okay, it will grow with the structures like this, and they will possess the male and female sex organs in them. But in general, if you see this plant, you can't see them, you just see them like this, dot structures on this, right? So to understand what are these, you have to take the portions and enlarge them. Okay, this portion I am enlarging here. You can observe, this is the main stem-like structure. They don't have stem and all other parts, stem-like structure. And here you find a ligule, actually we call the ligule. And here you find this is a gynoecium. Okay, it's a gynoecium. Structure is like this, and it will be covered by a thick covering, and there will be something like this. The coverings they are. This is we call this as the oogonia. We don't call them as gynoecium, we call the oogonia. Oogonia is because they are the algae, right? Below this you get the Antheridia with the covering, okay? And this is the Antheridia. Okay? And this is the structure. These are the Antheridian structure. This is Antheridia. This is the female structure, this is the male structure. Antheridia produce antherozoites. Normally whenever they undergo reproduction, they produce antherozoites. They are actually flagellated. And this inside the oogonia you get Archegonium like this, oogonia with the egg over here. These will fertilize this. Okay. So here you get male and female sex organs in the same plant. So in Cara you get bi-sexuality. This is a bisexual character. Okay. But when you observe another example is in Rixia. This is so whenever I use the word, you should immediately catch up where it belongs to. It belongs to bryophytes. So in bryophytes, what you find is you get male and female thallus are different. Here, this is not thallus, this is oogonium and Antheridia is found. But in bryophytes, you get the male and female separate thalli, right? So imagine this is a male thallus. Normally, bryophytes are having cushiony structures. You will have rhizoids here. They don't generalize, don't draw them like trees, right? These will have median line. It will be like this. It's a male plant, or we call it as the male thallus. See these words you should never forget. They are the thallus, they are not the trees or the plant. They are the thallus. Here I told you oogonia and Antheridia, and this is called the ligule, right? Here in the male thallus you find something like this for the male plant. We call it as the antheridial head. Antheridial head. Okay. Another plant will be growing, that's a female plant. We call this as a female thallus. Again they will be having rhizoids. right? This I am not giving more information about the plant body because this is the one what you have studied in first PC already, bryophytes. Okay, then you will get the female part. We call this as the Archegonial head, right? They will have Archegonia here. This is a female structure. This is an Archegonial head. Okay. Whenever you observe the antheridial head, each antheridia will be like this, right? And there is little detail about this. They will have they will produce antherozoites. These are all the haploid plants. And the Archegonial head will have number of Archegonia like this. Okay? And there is an egg over here, right? These antherozoites released from here will move towards the egg and they fertilize this. This is the egg structure. This is an Antheridia. So this is the male thallus. This is the female thallus. This is the male structure. This is the female structure. This is how the sexuality is different in bryophytes. Male thallus and female thallus, they are different. It is called the heterothallic condition. Heterothallus or heterothallic condition, right? So that's about the lower plants showing this character. Actually, you can see that all of them, both the algae or we think of bryophytes, they are having the plant body or the thallus are haploid in nature. Therefore, we call this as a gametophytic generation. This is called the gametophytic generation, which is normally haploid. These are all haploid plants. This is also Rexia. Whatever I draw, this is a haploid plant. So when they produce the gamete, they will not undergo meiosis directly. They produce the gametes, right? They undergo mitotic division and they produce the gametes. Whereas in higher angiosperms, when you observe, the main plant body is diploid in nature. It is having 2n number of chromosomes. Only in the reproductive phase, that's in the flowers and all, what we have already learnt. If you are not remembering, again I will remind you, the flower when you take up the anther, the young anther, when you take the section, you will get the microspore mother cells that are diploid. They are called meiocytes. They undergo meiosis and produce the haploid microspores. The same way, whenever you observe the megaspore mother cell, it undergo meiosis, reduction division, form the haploid megaspore. Means their main plant body is a sporophytic plant body in gymnosperms and angiosperms. But in these, the main plant body is gametophytic plant. It is a haploid plant. There it is a diploid plant. So dominating plant body in the angiosperms and gymnosperms is a diploid plant body. It is called the sporophytic plant. Even in ferns or pteridophytes, you get the main plant body is sporophytic. It produces sporangia with spores. Here the main plant body itself is haploid in nature. This is called as the gametophytic plant, which is dominating over the sporophytic plant. Okay. Only after fertilization this will form. After fertilization this will be forming one long structure. This is called the capsular structure, and inside that it will produce on meiosis to produce number of spores. Spores will be released. Then they are in air. From there again they fall on the ground. They grow as male and female plants separately. So remember that every plant has its own life cycle. At least you are supposed to know the general character of bryophyte, general character of algae, general character of pteridophytes, angiosperms and gymnosperms. This which you have already learned. So I am not much giving that much in detail about that. But already in this diagram we can make out how exactly they are undergoing reproduction, what is their sexuality. You can see here bi-sexuality, this is showing uni-sexuality. See, this is one plant, this is another plant. So Rexia is showing uni-sexuality. Not all bryophytes show, but Rexia is showing uni-sexuality. And Mercantia shows uni-sexuality. Like that, whenever you study by the total structure of our complete explanation about the bryophytes, you know which is the plant unisexual, which is bisexual. Here it is unisexual and dioecious also, male and female growing separately. This is actually not exactly bisexuality, it is unisexual, but they are growing separately, right? This is male, this is a female, this is a male plant. You can male sex organ. We call this as a monoecious character. This is called dioecious character. Okay? So this you understand thoroughly, because this you can see male is different, female, they are not growing together. Therefore, in algae of Cara, one example in algae, Cara, you will get the Oogonia and Antheridia separately grown, right? They are in the same plant, they are found in different parts. One is up, one is down. It is Uni-sexuality, but it is showing monoecious character. Monoecious because they are growing in the same plant. Here they are unisexual, but they are showing dioecious character. They are growing are different. There is sexual dimorphism observed. See, observe them also thoroughly because they are also organisms. They are reproducing not only for the sake of questions you are learning it. Learn that these organisms, they are so small green thing present in water like Cara, the brown algae, they are growing in water, still they do all these activities. Actually, if you go to higher studies and all, you will be taking the section of these and observing the details, how are they actually producing this, and all their process you will be learning, their formation of the sperm or the male gamete and female gamete, everything will come. But anyway, right now at this point, this much is enough. Apart from that, I told you, you do extra readings on them. Suppose I say, Cara, go through the extra reading. Anyway, you can have Google with it. Just check how is the diagram, how is it looking like, how is Cara, where it will grow. It's actually a green algae, not a brown algae. Cara is a green algae, Sargassum is a brown algae. This is a green algae, and you can see Cara. Here, just type it, you will get a picture, clear picture, because they are found in water. This I can't even show in my lab, they are not there. But still, if you get real interest in them, you can find the answers and solutions anywhere. Only thing is, you people have to be active to learn, to be more thirsty in learning this subject. Okay? You learn this. Drawing also you draw in even examination, that will give you more weightage for your answers. Okay? If there are 5 mark questions and all, always one small big drawing you have to draw and continue explanation. Whether they have asked you to draw or not, you just keep drawing. Okay? So once we are finished with the plants, we have talked about the bisexuality and asexuality in plants, right? Now I'll be giving you some information about the animals, how they show sexuality. Some of the animals are bisexuals, but it's a little less common in animals. Lower invertebrates may contain bisexuality, but all higher animals, they will have unisexuality. So like one example is given here, see? That is an earthworm. Just see the drawing, you have to draw the diagram also. Right? Earthworm, if you observe, you can see that this is the testes. These are the testes. Here you can see here testes with the testes. These are testicle sac with the number of the testes are here. And below that only you get ovary. You can see with the oviduct, almost because of fallopian tube. So both male, this is a male sex organ, this is a female sex organ. Together they are found in earthworm. Right? This drawing is essential for you, which you have already drawn in first years. That's the reason I have already drawn this. Because once you have already drawn in the practical labs also, in theory also. Therefore, you need to draw this diagram. And this is the bisexual organism. It is a bisexual organism. Apart from that, it has one more characteristic. They are hermaphrodites. What are hermaphrodites? That means they have both the sex organs in the same, and they may undergo on their own sexual impression. Hermaphrodites they are. Right? These are bisexuals where both male and female sex organs are found in the same organism, same animal. Now we will talk about cockroach. You can see here, this also I have learnt in first PUC. So again I have already drawn the diagram. So this is a male cockroach, this is a female cockroach. Male cockroach will have 2 testes, you can make out here. There are the 2 testes attached with the vas deferens, right? Then female cockroach, when you observe, these are the 2 ovaries. There are a number of ovaries in this. All these are, this is one ovary, left and right ovary. They are open into oviduct into a single cavity, right? So this is the cockroach character which is showing unisexuality. Apart from that, they are showing sexual dimorphism. Male and female organisms are different. There is separation of male and female organisms sexually and morphologically. Therefore, there is sexual dimorphism observed in the cockroach and other higher animals. But in earthworm, it is bisexuality because both sex organs are present together. So whenever you want to explain, normally this will not be asked for drawing and all, just you have to mention. But to understand, you need to draw this just for your notes reference. Just draw them and keep it with you. Whenever they ask, suddenly you should get in your mind that, okay, earthworm, bisexuality, they are hermaphrodites. The cockroach, it is unisexual and they are dioecious organisms, they are separate. It is called sexual dimorphism. So drawings are important for you. You just sit now and draw diagram. 1 minute, I'll just get away from here. Then the board is free, you draw the diagram. Okay? So once we have studied about the sexuality, male and female sex organs, where are they present? Now we need to learn whether the plant has diploid condition or haploid condition. Already I told you, depends upon whether it is the gametophytic plant or the sporophytic plants. So whenever you talk about the plants or animals, the ploidy level is different. Whenever you talk about the organisms, the plants like algae, bryophytes. So whatever I have drawn or explained you till now, they are all the haploid plant bodies. They have n number of chromosomes. And such plant body we call it as the gametophytic plant. It's called the gametophyte. This will produce male and female sex organs just by meiosis. The gametes are produced just by mitotic division, mitosis, because already it is haploid. The gametes are produced. These gametes undergo the male gamete and the female gamete fertilize to form zygote, which is the diploid structure, and this diploid one will continue in the form of a sporophyte. Okay, this we call it as the alternation of generation. The plant body will be mainly gametophyte in nature, and it will produce a temporary structure which is called sporophyte. Sporophyte on meiosis produce the spores. Spores will be released in air or in water. They will grow into new gametophytic plant. Okay, in sporophyte is diploid in nature. Gametophyte is haploid in nature. Therefore, mostly algae, bryophytes are all, including fungi, they are haploid plants. They are called gametophytic plants. But if you observe the second one, in the plants like gymnosperms or pteridophytes and your angiosperms, these are all having diploid plant body. Plant body is diploid and we call this as the sporophyte. Sporophyte, and it will be 2n in number, right? Later this will undergo meiosis in the reproductive organs, and on meiosis the gametes are produced that are haploid. This is a very temporary stage, even just in flower up to the formation of calyx, corolla and all that, all of them are diploid in nature, they are all sporophytic in nature. And when the male gametes are produced by reduction and division of microspore mother cell, then it becomes haploid. Then after that the two gametes will fertilize to form diploid zygote, and zygote is the one which start dividing again into a new sporophyte. This is how the alternation of generation happens in all of them. But here in pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms, the diploid plant body or the sporophytic plant body is very much dominant over the gametophytic plant. So we call this as diplontic life cycle. We call it as diplontic. First PSU you have studied. Diploid stage is dominant. Whereas the algae, fungi and bryophytes, haploid plant body is dominant and diploid is short-lived, but it is also there. We call them as haplodiploidic life cycle. Both of them are there in that, right? Here it is very short-lived, therefore we call this as diploidic life cycle. I hope you understood that already in first PUC. But right now, with this background, I am going to ploidy, because diploid and haploid I am saying. Therefore, we will go to the chromosome number or the ploidy levels in different organisms. And as once already we have discussed, ploidy level is either euploidy or polyploidy. Polyploidy refers to the plants, you forget it now. Right now it is not required. True numbers we are talking, haploid number and diploid number. Haploid number belongs to the gametes, diploid number belongs to the vegetative structure of the somatic body or somatic cell. Right? So here there is a list given, already it is there in the BPL, but still I just go through the list and find out what is the chromosome number of each. In human beings we have 46 chromosomes, diploid chromosome number in all of our cells. But along with that we will have 44 autosomes, the vegetative chromosomes or somatic chromosomes, and one pair is allosomes. But anyway, total chromosome number is 46 and its haploid number, that is the gametic number, is 23 because it undergoes meiosis. Then housefly, the chromosome number is 12. This you have to by heart. As many as possible. Some of the plants and animals you just by heart their chromosome numbers. And this chromosome number will not depict the size of the organism. Remember, like elephant is very big, its chromosome number is high. No, right? It's not depending upon the size. Chromosome number is the number of chromosomes present in every cell's nucleus. Right? It is specific to every species. This will not vary according to their size. It is specific. Means all human beings, whether they are the children or adults or the Indians or Westerns, everyone will have chromosome number 46 only. It is fixed. Then housefly chromosome number is 12. Its haploid number is 6. Rats, you have 42 chromosomes and it's a somatic number, and 21 is its haploid or gametic number. Dog, it is among all this you can see 78 chromosomes, but haploid number is 39. Cats, they will have 38 and haploid number is 19. Drosophila, we call it as a fruit fly. You would have seen the small vinegar fly or fruit fly, which actually are black flies which appear during the summer season whenever there is fruit which are getting rotten. These flies will come over and they start roaming around it. Those are called the fruit flies. Why I am talking it? Because a lot of work has been done in Drosophila. Drosophila melanogaster we call it. Drosophila is called the fruit fly, and we call this as the Cinderella of genetics because maximum work has been done in Drosophila melanogaster. Most of the people try to work mostly in Drosophila. One of the reason being they have only 8 chromosomes. Diploid number is only 8. Only 8 number. So their chromosome number in gametes is only 4. So easy to analyze its genes. If the chromosome number is too huge, then it's very difficult to analyze. Therefore, chromosome number in Drosophila and their genes and genetic characters and genetic molecular biology, everything has been worked in Drosophila melanogaster. See, when I am talking about all this, that details, why I am giving it, because in some other concept or some other concern, they may ask you that. Therefore, I am giving you extra thing also. Ophioblossom, most of the time, it is a one which you will get scared to see the number. Chromosome number is 1260. 1260 is a diploid number. That is, means 1260 is so huge. And the haploid number is 630, half of this. But you know what is it? This is a just Ophioblossom is a fern. And its size, the size of the fern is hardly around 6 to 10 inches. This much size only. This is the size of it. Almost of this size of the pen. Therefore, you don't think that the chromosome number equals to the size of the body. No, Ophioblossom is a fern, right? It's a small fern and its chromosome number is 1260. These are given minimum here. Here is the maximum 1260, which is seen in Ophioblossom, right? It's a type of pteridophyte or a fern. Then comes your rice. Chromosome number is 24. Its haploid number is 12. But nowadays, what we are consuming rice, it is not a diploid rice. We eat tetraploid rice. It's a polyploidy variety we are eating, not the regular diploid. Diploid number is given here, but not the polyploid number. Therefore, our rice, what we eat directly, cannot check the chromosome number, taking its flower or taking its root section and all. We cannot get the only chromosome 24. We will get tetraploid. 4n means this is 2n number. You add to this 2n plus 2n is equal to so much. That is 48 number will get. Now, coming to onions, we have chromosome number 32 and haploid number is 16. Maize, you have 20 chromosome number in somatic cells and 10 chromosome number in the germ cells. Okay, these are the total chromosome number in all the organisms. Some more if you get it, wherever you get it, you add them, right? As I told you, like a homework. Yesterday also I asked you to do something. Why the plant? Which plant? Archegonium is called as terror of Bengal, right? I don't know whether you have done it or nobody has messaged me. I want you to message me or to find out what is it, where it is, extra things you read. Now I am saying you just work on these plants like Oviparous, how big it is, what is the chromosome number, why say Drosophila, work on them, right? And why polyploid varieties are very popular. So like that, no, extra things and all, if I give some small clue, you should study the whole thing. Right? So the other chromosome numbers also you can add elephant, monkey, gorilla, all their chromosome numbers you keep on adding so that you will get an idea how big are the organisms, so what is their chromosome number. Okay? So now we will move on. All this is pre-fertilization events I told you. That is gamete formation. Now we will talk about the gamete transfer. It is also another event, that is gamete transfer, how it happens. So you already know the plants, they transfer the gametes either through the wind or through the insects or through the birds or through water, sometimes cell pollination, right? So the transfer of pollen grain is the transfer of gametes is an important thing, second part. So it comes under pre-fertilization events. This is the second part, that is gamete transfer. How the gametes are transferred, right? So as you already know, the plants, just one by one I will give you an example. If you think of algae or think of bryophytes, even pteridophytes, they require water. So through the water current, whatever the male gametes or the antherozoites produced, they swim in water and they reach the Archegonia, and they reach this and enter into it, fertilize them. This is the Archegonia. This is a antherozoite. Antherozoite is the male gamete. Here is the egg cell in the Archegonium, which is a flask-shaped structure. This is a motile gamete here, right? Whether they are isogametes or anisogametes, you have to study. In isogametes, both may move. In anisogametes, normally male gamete will be moving, and in oogametes type, normally male is only moving, female is big, and the egg is large and immotile. Right? Now the antherozoite released from the Antheridia will pass through water current and reach the Archegonia, the female reproductive structure, and reach the egg and fertilize the egg. This is how gamete transfer happens in algae and bryophytes and in some pteridophytes also. Now, what about the second example? There is about the angiosperms and gymnosperms. So, angiosperms you already know it. There are a lot of various vectors through which it is transferring the gametes. It may be either wind, or it may be the insect, or it may be the birds, it may be the bats, or animals, or water. They transfer pollen grains from anther to the stigma. But sometimes these are all helping for transfer of the pollen grain from anther to stigma during cross pollination. But in cell pollination nothing is required. There will be just transfer because they are present very much near to each other. If this is a gynoecium, here is an androecium. Anthers are like this. They produce pollen grains, they fall on the stigma. This is for the cell pollination. They just transfer from one part to other part easily because of the structure. Only in the cross pollination all these vectors are required, right? Then if you think of the gymnosperms, in gymnosperms you should know one wonderful thing. The male gametes formed from the microsporophyll, the sori, that will be having the structure of this type with wing-like pollen grains, right? These are having air chambers. They fly in air. They are wind pollinated and they transfer to the female structure. There is a ovule. The ovule structure you must be knowing. In the gymnosperms there will be an archegonial chamber and a pollen chamber. Here all these male gametes are released, they produce haustoria and draw the nourishment, then they fertilize with the archegonia, right? Archegonial egg cell. This is how it happens in gymnosperms. They are transferred through wind pollinating, right? In animals, you all know the animals like cockroaches and all, they undergo copulation, or in frogs they undergo pseudo-copulation, they reach each other and fertilize. In frogs, the problem is the eggs and sperms are released in water, right? These have to search each other. Therefore, the problem happens during fertilization is they will have to undergo external fertilization. Just gamete transfer, I think you are clear with this. Now we are talking about the process of fertilization. So once they are transferred, then the second unit I am talking. First unit was the pre-fertilization events we spoke. Now I am talking about the fertilization event. What are the fertilization events? Right? Once the pollen grains or the male gametes reach the female gametes, they are to fertilize. So this is the second unit of sexual reproduction, that is about the fertilization. What is fertilization? It is the union of male gamete which is haploid and the female gamete which is haploid to produce a diploid zygote. And the whole process is called syngamy. Syngamy is union of gametes. This happens. So the zygote will be diploid in nature, diploid chromosome number in the zygote. This is happening. But here fertilization in organisms like lower organisms like frogs and fishes and all, it happens in water. Therefore we call that as the external fertilization. And in higher organisms like humans and all, it is internal fertilization. It happens within the human body. What are happening in the external fertilization? Right? First thing, little bit background. Male frog sits on the female frog during its breeding season, and we push the abdomen of the female for the release of the eggs. Eggs are released in the bunch with the covered by a jelly coat. We call it as spawning. Right? Now, these eggs will settle in water somewhere on the hard portions, either in the leaves or on the ground or on the rocks and all, they'll settle down. At the same time, male frog will release the gametes, that is sperms. But these sperms have a challenge now. They have to search the female gamete. Where are the eggs present? Right? So during then, in frogs, already as you know, that there will be chemical attraction. There is a chemotaxis happening. Chemically they are attracted each other. The eggs produce the gynogamin called as fertilization. The sperms produce the androgamin called the anti-fertilizing. These chemicals are having affinity. That is the reason why the sperms of the same species move towards the egg of the same species and fertilize this. Right? So that is external fertilization. But here, what is the problem with external fertilization? In most of the cases, these animals' eggs are having problem with the survival rate because they contain a lot of yolk. Most of the eggs are consumed by the predators. A lot of animals like fishes and all, they will be grabbing them. The problem is with the problem of their survival. Externally fertilized organisms normally survive less. Their probability of survival is low, right? Why? Because they have to fight with so many things. They will not have any other things. That's the reason why they produce large number of eggs. Not one or two, they produce 200 to 300 eggs, and that too covered with the jelly coat, so that they can not only overcome the problem of the predators, even with the environment. If the environment, there is water is more cold or more hot or highly pH changing, is it acidic or alkaline, whatever water, the egg has to survive. Because of the jelly coat, they will survive. Right? Therefore, there are a lot of challenges in external fertilization for the animals. Survival is low, fertilization rate is low, and how many will survive at the end till they get fertilized and produce the embryo and come out? There is a big challenge. What about internal fertilization? Lots and lots of advantages. Sperms are released directly into the female genital tract. Already you know, they are released up to the cervix, they will go. Right? From there, the traveling towards the egg is a probability. But once fertilized, they will have a safe environment within the uterus in females. They get implanted, they grow, they develop a placental tissue, draw the nutrients, and probability of survival is almost 99%. Therefore, internal fertilization is more sure and there is more guaranteed survival rate. That is the reason why internally fertilized organisms like humans and all produce hardly one egg per ovulation. Right? External fertilization, as it is no surety, no guarantee, they will produce large number of eggs. Here only one egg is produced per ovulation. Survival rate is more. Then they need not to waste time in or waste their energy in producing large number of sperms. The eggs will not have to fight with environment or anything. Therefore, always advantage is for internal fertilization. So this they will ask you differentiate between external fertilization and internal fertilization. So I hope you know around 4 to 5 differences you can easily write about it. Okay. So that's about the fertilization event. Now we'll have to move on to the post-fertilization events. Okay. So first I give you now some work. Sit and write 2 columns, external fertilization, internal fertilization. Make the columns and write minimum 5 differences. Can you do that? Okay, do it now. External and internal fertilization you understood now. What are the differences and what is the advantage, what is the disadvantage of that. But there is some other concept you have to understand, that is called Parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is the production of offsprings without fertilization. So formation of offsprings without no fertilization. This is called Parthenogenesis. Where this happens? Parthenogenesis happens in plants we already discussed once, right? In animals, it happens in like honeybees and wasps and aphids and sometimes snakes and lizards. So there are types of parthenogenesis. First one is called as Archegonium. This happens in honeybees. So honeybees, one small story I would like to give you. In honeybees, the queen bee will be there. No? That's the only one which can produce offsprings. Otherwise, there are a lot of females, they are called workers. There are a lot of males, they are called drones. Right? In a honeycomb, you will get a lot of things. Right? One is a queen bee, the large in size. That is the one who is going to get fertilized and produce the children. Right? Remaining, what the others will do? The females are called workers. They are all deployed in nature. These will be just collecting. They are the one major workers. They go collect the honey, bring it and put it and dry the liquid honey into solid, means somewhat crystallized honey and all. They will do the major work. What about the males? Males are all haploids. They are N in number. Chromosome number is N. Right? So these are called drones. So let me talk about honeybees. There are 3 types of honeybees found. Main one is queen bee. Queen bee will produce 2 types of offsprings. The females, which are called as the worker bees. These are normally diploid in nature and they will produce one more, males. These are called as drones. These are haploid in nature. Right? Now, how they do that? First is female workers. All females are around thousands, more of them are around 20,000 to 30,000, they are only females. They will be cleaning the comb, honeycomb, and they go search of honey, get the honey, put it in the honey web, the comb, and then some of them they will be continuously produce or they are making the honey to dry by flying continuously. Like how you, whenever you get heated up, the environment is very hot, how you take some small paper like thing and you just make it cool, right? Same thing they will do. They take the wings and they clean or make the whole honey dry. That is the work of all the females. And even they clean the complete honeycomb and they look after the young ones. Everything they will do. But what is the work of these drones? These are simply present in the honeycomb. They will be roaming around in the honeycomb only, and they will be simply roaming around that to show that there is a honeycomb here, and they are the one who will bite. Right? Normally they will bite because they look after the honeycomb, that's all. They will not bring anything. They will not collect the honey, nothing they will do. They will be simply there, and their main work is to deposit the sperm in the queen bee's, the sperm sac will be there. Right? Whenever queen bee has to produce the children, then she will get the male honeybees. They will undergo copulation, and males will deposit their sperms in the sperm sac. And now the question is, how exactly the queen bee decide whether to produce the male bees or female bees? If it finds that female bees number is decreasing, then she will allow the sperm to pass to the egg and fertilize the egg and produce the females. All females are diploid in nature. But if the male she has to produce, she will produce the eggs without fertilizing. She will release them into forming the males. Right? This is how it is called Archegonium. Archegonium refers to formation of male honeybees by the Parthenocarpy. Right? Not for the female. Females are produced by fertilization only. This is how it happens in the honeybees. Right? Second one is Amphitoki. Amphitoki. See, I told you Archegonium with respect to only male bees, not the female bees. Female, I just explained you what happens in the honeycomb, but that doesn't mean all these things are right. Archegonium refers to these only. It's a male, how they are formed without fertilization by parthenogenesis. Now, Amphitoki is formed with kind of parthenogenesis in which both males or females are produced by parthenogenesis without fertilization. This happens in aphids. Aphids are those which will suck the plant, the phloem sap. Those which will sit on the stem of the plant and they suck it, they are called aphids. Then the last one is Thelitoki. Thelitoki refers to the formation of females by parthenogenesis. Okay, females are formed without fertilization. They are all haploid in nature. This happens in snake and lizards. Okay, this is about the parthenogenesis. Write a note on parthenogenesis. If I ask you, you are supposed to write what is the meaning of that and write the types of parthenogenesis. Is it the Archegonium, Amphitoki or Thelitoki? This is actually the depth of parthenogenesis, which is a neat question for you. Okay, but still if they ask you 1 mark here, this one, you will have to understand. One is only for the formation of male honeybees through parthenogenesis, or Amphitoki is both male or females are produced in aphids, and Thelitoki happens in snake lizards where females only are produced by parthenogenesis. Now, let's now move on to the next process, that is the post-fertilization events. Fertilization part is done now, right? This is anyway no fertilization. So now we'll talk about the post-fertilization events. What all happen in after fertilization? That's the last part of this chapter, post-fertilization events. So you need to understand. Already if you have idea, let us learn once again, right? That's the third event in sexual reproduction, that is the post-fertilization events. So you already have an idea. What are the post-fertilization events happening? First is formation of zygote. Which is the first part. That is the union of male haploid gamete with the female haploid gamete forming the zygote by syngamy. This is the starting structure. This is the zygote form which is already diploid. What next happens is further development of the zygote. We call it as embryogenesis. So the second event is embryogenesis. There is a development of the embryo, right? What all will happen during embryo development? First thing you already know in this, there will be repeated mitotic divisions happening, cleavage will happen. This is simple mitotic division. Then metamorphogenetic movements take place. Second one is development of the cavity, we call the blastulation. Then development of the third cavity, that is gastrulation. Formation of gastral cavity, gastrulation, this is the third event. Then next is about the neurulation, formation of notochord, neurulation. Okay, those are the things happening during this first cleavage. Only undifferentiated mass is formed. So after blastulation, gastrulation, cells start differentiating. They become different layers like that is ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Then again they differentiate. So that's how the complete organism is formed during embryogenesis till the childbirth. Now this development of the embryo, whether it happens within the body of the female or outside the body of the female, based on that we have types of embryogenesis. If it happens within the or outside, the sometimes fertilized egg is released outside and the embryo growth happens outside. Such ones are called as oviparous animals. So those animals in which the fertilized egg, okay, or the embryogenesis happens outside the female body, it is called as oviparous animals. They are releasing fertilized egg outside, and to protect it from the environmental problems or environmental issues, they will have a calcareous shell as seen in all the birds. All the birds are oviparous animals. They will release the fertilized egg into the environment where they are going to develop, and just to have the development of the embryo, they will have lot and lots of yolk present. Yolk is there to nourish the growing embryo. They are always having the egg with lot of yolk. So after fertilization, the zygote will utilize the yolk and develops. This is called the oviparous animal. Second one is called as the viviparous animals. Viviparous animals are those animals in which fertilized zygote develops within the female body by the help of embryo which nourishes the growing embryo. By the development of placenta that nourishes the growing embryo. Then they produce the young ones. These are producing the young ones. Young ones are produced. Okay, this is happening in all the mammals including humans. Right? They are the viviparous animals. Now last one is ovoviviparous animals. What are ovoviviparous animals? These form the fertilized zygote, but they will keep them same, all fertilized zygote inside only, and up to the embryo development they will not produce placenta for the growing embryo. So no placenta develops here. Here there is a development of placenta that nourishes the growing embryo. Here no placenta develops and the young ones are released. First zygote is formed, it is retained in the body, and they will not supply any nutrients, they will not supply any type of respiratory gases, but still survival is important for them. They produce no placenta, but they produce the young ones outside. But they are producing first embryo will be retained, the zygote will be retained in the body, and there only it will grow, and afterwards it will break open and come out. So the example for this is here the scorpion. You heard about scorpion? Scorpion, you see, once and even your kangaroos and all, they are producing young ones. Once the embryo is formed, they allow it to grow inside, and then the young ones will come out whenever it is fully grown. In scorpions, what happens? The fertilized zygote will be, or embryos are retained in the abdominal cavity of the female. When the eggs are hatched in the body itself, they break open the abdomen of the female and they come out. Therefore, after that, all the children are produced, the female, the mother is dead, because they break open with the sting and all, they open it up and come out. So that's what is ovoviviparous character. Right? So these are the three things you have to understand. This is the last portion under the organism reproduction. Okay, after this we are going to study some neat portions, neat questions on this. Okay, so that is the last part. All the events you understand thoroughly, and this completely finishes the first unit, reproduction. Right? Whatever I told you homework, you are supposed to write it. This we are going to check it, and even I ask the concerned person to ask you to make you forcibly do the homework. You don't want it, I think so, because you are very good children. You will do this, right? Okay, that ends the subject, and we'll meet with the neat questions. Okay, see you then.